Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. This will be my X-Men 97 Season 2 video. There are a bunch of teasers, so many different storylines, and clear setups for what they're going to be doing during Season 2. There are a couple mysteries, but I think we actually figured out what's going on with everybody. If you're brand new to the channel, I'll be doing videos for all the episodes. They've currently been confirmed for at least Season 3, maybe Season 4. They're done with most of the work, I think, on Season 2, and they should be able to premiere it by next year at some point. Maybe later next year, but hopefully still next year. Nobody wants to wait for 2 years just to get more episodes. Please don't do us dirty like that, Marvel. The real big thing with Season 2, as you saw during that post-credit scene, the big teaser for Season 2, is it will be all about Apocalypse, but the 3 different Apocalypses. Like, if you thought that Season 1 was kind of light on Apocalypse, they're going full in on Apocalypse during Season 2, it will be Age of Apocalypse for the entire season. First big thing, what happened? Forge and Bishop in the present day trying to figure out who or what scattered the X-Men across the timeline and why it happened. Early theory, they'll probably make that Bastion's fault indirectly. Bastion didn't send everyone through time on purpose, but think about it this way. We saw Bastion sucked into the exploding core of Asteroid M, seemingly vaporizing him. When that happened, what they'll probably say is that it caused a chain reaction in Bastion's body, which had absorbed the techno-organic virus from Cable's arm earlier, and if the show didn't make this clear, Cable's able to time travel using the techno-organic virus that's part of his arm here. He didn't need a special time band like Bishop always had to use that Forge would make for him. Bastion rips Cable's arm off, then absorbs it along with that techno-organic virus containing the time travel technology, incorporating it into himself. So Bastion probably didn't fully understand how the techno-organic virus worked or the fact that he could travel through time. The finale probably would have gone down very differently if he would have been using his time travel, but when he's blown up, the chain reaction that happens after that is essentially the fracturing of time itself, like that explosion is time breaking. That's probably why everyone is sent to different time periods. It wasn't like Bastion was trying to specifically send everyone to the time of young Apocalypse, then older Apocalypse in the distant future during like this Age of Apocalypse era. It was just meant to be an accident. What they'll probably use these 3 different Apocalypses in the different time periods for is to show you how Apocalypse became Apocalypse, then in the future, what happens if his master plan in present day is successful and the Age of Apocalypse begins. There were a couple Age of Apocalypse episodes during the original animated series which were different. They actually created the Age of Apocalypse comics based on those. The Age of Apocalypse in the comics came after the animated series. So when they made those original episodes, they didn't call it the Age of Apocalypse, but that's kind of what it was. It was a future that Apocalypse was ruling over. That's probably what they'll call this distant future timeline. They'll say the Age of Apocalypse has been happening for the past millennia, since the events in present day. But essentially it leads to this darkest timeline stuff. And we'll see the 3 different groups of X-Men in different time periods trying to deal with the different versions of Apocalypse, but ultimately the stuff the group in the past does will affect Apocalypse in the present, and then so on and so forth into the future. And the big thread of the season that everybody will be working together to try and stop, everyone across the timeline will have to find a way to work together, all the groups. Bishop's help probably, because he's the one that's jumping through the time stream, so that they can try to avoid the Age of Apocalypse in this distant future from coming to pass. Now here's the thing, they will be messing with the timeline past, present, and future, but the showrunner Bo DeMeo said that they're not undoing the tragedy on Genosha with everyone dying. So even though they might be changing things in the past, messing with the timeline, it's not going to undo all the death that happened at Genosha. Starting with the group that went to the past, they meet Apocalypse before he became Apocalypse, before he met Kang in the past, got his celestial technology, or all of Kang's technology, before he created his first 4 horsemen, before all the hype. Since they're basing this part of the timeline on the Apocalypse origin story from the comics, these X-Men, Professor X, Magneto, Rogue, Nightcrawler, Beast, at least as far as we know, just those people that we see on screen, I think that everybody that we see is everybody that was sent to the past, like there aren't any mystery X-Men that also got sent to the past. They'll probably wind up teaming up with Apocalypse to help him defeat Kang the Conqueror, who at this moment is currently ruling over ancient Egypt as Rama-Tut. That's probably what they're seeing here in this, like when Beast does his big oh dear, they're seeing Kang's ship.
His ship? That's a heck of a bass boat. Early apocalyptic scholars referred to, and I quote, a mighty ship designed by creatures from beyond the stars.
If you remember the original animated series, they actually encountered Apocalypse's advanced ship. In the comics, it was actually the Celestials' ship that he gained access to and made a bargain with. On the show, they might just say that it was Kang's ship. I don't know if the show is going to go full Celestials. During the original comics, when there are no X-Men messing around with the past, like we're not talking about the show here, this is the original comics, Apocalypse eventually winds up coming into his power, like when his powers fully manifest, he winds up defeating Kang, who then escapes to the future to become the Kang the Conqueror persona, but leaves his Sphinx ship, all of his advanced technology in the past, which Apocalypse winds up finding, and through that, like he uses Kang's technology in the past to become the modern version of Apocalypse when you think of Apocalypse. So a lot of these abilities that you see him have in the original animated series are actually a result of the advanced technology that he finds of Kang's in the past. They're not part of his regular mutant powers. But what'll probably happen in the past is these X-Men will inadvertently wind up helping that come to pass. Like they'll help him defeat Kang and help him come into contact with this advanced technology, and that's where he'll get the idea to become Apocalypse. Like they'll probably accidentally refer to him as Apocalypse, so he'll get the idea to become Apocalypse from the X-Men themselves. Talk about not stepping on any butterflies in the past. Oops. Number 4, also important for what happens during that post-credit scene. Not the Gambit stuff, that's also very important. We'll get to that in a second. But there's another sly reference that they slipped in when he was referencing Gambit as his new Horseman of Death.
So much pain, my children.
When he refers to all mutants as his children, he's speaking both literally and metaphorically. Apocalypse is meant to be the very first mutant born in the second generation of mutants on planet Earth. He gets married to another Omega-level mutant named Genesis. Their children become the first 4 horsemen of the Apocalypse. So part of the idea is that a lot of the mutants in present day have some relation to him on a biological level, like they share some DNA, like they're children of children of children with many, many, many generations removed from Apocalypse's original children. So technically, a lot of the mutants on planet Earth probably are his children, just many, many generations removed. In the present day, Apocalypse very clearly going to resurrect Gambit as his Horseman of Death. Remember it. It was a big storyline in the comics that was kind of controversial, like some people hated it, some people thought it was kind of cool. It didn't last that long though. But it came from the Blood of Apocalypse storyline, which they also might adapt for some of the present-day storyline, which also came after the Decimation and M-Day, which in the comics was the House of M stuff, when Scarlet Witch went full no more mutants. It reduced the number of mutants on Earth to a tiny, tiny fraction, and Apocalypse presents himself as a savior to mutant kind, using his actual blood to try and bring mutants' powers back. Like taking his blood undoes what Scarlet Witch did to mutants. During that storyline, he also used his new 4 horsemen, including Gambit as his death, to destroy most of the human population, forcing a war between humans and mutants, because even though he wanted mutants to become superior, like he wanted to usher in this age of apocalypse, he was still on his survival of the fittest tick, and only wanted the strongest mutants to survive into the future that he was creating. Thus, he wanted a full-out mutants versus humans war to play out. That'll probably be his master plan in present day, creating a new 4 horsemen of the apocalypse and causing them to basically destroy most of humans, leading to an all-out war with mutants, also leading to this future age of apocalypse, darkest timeline stuff in the distant future. In the present day, Forge and Bishop will continue to try and find the 2 different teams of X-Men in the past and the present, and Bishop will probably use his time travel technology that Future Forge created, giving it to Past Forge so that Past Forge can figure out what Future Forge knows. That would allow Bishop to jump between different time periods, telling everybody in the past and everybody in the future what happens, and sort of bringing everybody together onto the same team. Like, okay, we're on the same page. We need to work together to avoid this post-apocalyptic Age of Apocalypse timeline. He'll also be the one that will probably bring the group from the past back to present day, like just collect them all and bring them back to the present. Their efforts probably will not work totally, like things will probably get worse before they get better. They'll change some things in the past, but ultimately, like I said, they'll probably won't be able to prevent Apocalypse from becoming Apocalypse. According to the showrunner, they also won't be able to avert Genosha, like all those mutants will still wind up dying. Also during the present, Forge will assemble a new X-Men team made up of all the people who are still around and aren't AWOL. Currently on this board here, that's listed as Colossus, his sister, Magic, Dust, Iceman, Havoc, who's Cyclops' other brother, Exodus, a really powerful Omega-level mutant, Kitty Pryde as her Shadowcat form because she's older, and Emma Frost. Jubilee, Sunspot, and Cable will also probably be doing their own thing at first, but still trying to help out eventually. Cable, more importantly, I think will probably be trying to find Apocalypse in the present because he knows about Apocalypse in the future. A lot of people asking if he returned to the future that he came from. He can't time travel because remember, his time travel technology was embedded in his arm with the techno-organic virus that Bastion ripped off, so he's stuck in the past right now and probably looking for Apocalypse. Archangel on the board here, presumed missing because he was on Genosha, but according to the showrunner Bo DeMeo, he survived, probably because of his Horseman of Death powers enhanced by Apocalypse. He's also probably searching for Apocalypse in the present and will try to eventually help the X-Men try to fight the new Four Horsemen, including Gambit. Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver are probably off-planet in another dimension, maybe connected to the Decimation, post-M-Day, No More Mutants Easter eggs that they're adapting for the Apocalypse storyline. I don't know how much No More Mutants M-Day stuff they're going to incorporate into this, or how big their characters will be. Maybe it's just an Easter egg. Number 3, probably the biggest question I got after the finale is what happened to Wolverine, Storm, and Morph? Where did they go? Why didn't they show us where they went? Here's the thing, during different periods in the comics, Wolverine was one of the Four Horsemen, and during Age of Apocalypse, he captured Storm and intended to make her his Famine, one of the other Four Horsemen. They actually did it in the live-action movies, though. During X-Men Age of Apocalypse, Oscar Isaac's version of the character turned that Storm into his Famine. So Wolverine might become the new War, Storm might become the new Famine, making Morph the new Pestilence, meaning you have an all-X-Men team of Four Horsemen. That's probably why they didn't show you where Wolverine, Storm, and Morph went at the end of the episode, because it would have given away that they become the other Four Horsemen, and they just wanted to tease Gambit becoming one of the Four Horsemen, like, wait for it, he's not the only one. They'd be skipping over little feral Wolverine stuff, but this progression is actually right out of the comics. So Apocalypse turns Wolverine into his Four Horsemen of Death right after the Fatal Attraction storyline when Magneto ripped the Adamantium out of his body. Number 2, getting to what happens in the distant future time period, Cyclops and Jean Grey will probably wind up realizing that Mother Ascani is the future version of their daughter, Rachel Summers. Like, they'll realize the connection because Mother Ascani also did not realize who they were when they showed up either. They'll probably work together to raise young Cable, trying to help him become the version of future Cable who can also help them stop this future from coming to pass so that he becomes the version of Cable that they know in the past. A lot of people also asking if they were going to do the Strife character at some point. He's meant to be a clone of Cable. He's a big character during the storyline that they're adapting here in the distant future. But I don't know if that means that they're also going to do Strife on the TV show. They might just skip him because they're already doing so many characters and so much stuff. But number 1, Avengers versus X-Men in present day. Everybody wondering, because we've seen so many Avengers characters this season, if we'd see Avengers versus X-Men at some point. Here's the thing, the Avengers on the show in this 90s universe are beholden to the government. That's why we saw them in the White House during the finale. They support the government. They have to do whatever the government says. We saw in the finale, President Kelly fired the missiles, enacting the Magneto protocols. Also love the Easter egg for real-life Michael Fassbender and Ian McKellen there on his aliases sheet. But part of the idea is the government hates mutants, hates the X-Men. So think about it this way. On the other side, Apocalypse is pushing humans and mutants further into a war using his new Four Horsemen of X-Men characters. So the government's strongest weapon against them is the Avengers. You also have Graydon Creed, who's running for president of the United States. He really hates mutants. There's the Purifiers. You also have Mystique, who's probably working with Apocalypse. She actually might be embedded inside the government. I still think that she might wind up being Val secretly. She might also secretly help Apocalypse push the government into forcing the Avengers to go after the X-Men, so we get an Avengers versus X-Men during Season 2 at some point. That says nothing of Doctor Doom or like the other major villains across Earth that aren't mutants, so we'll see how they incorporate them into the storyline too. Technically, you'd expect them to be on the side of humanity though. But everyone post all your predictions for Season 2. There are a couple really clear teasers and then some big question marks, but I think, like I said, we've figured out what a lot of them are, like which X-Men will become the new Four Horsemen of Apocalypse. I'm expecting a bunch more teasers later this year, so they'll probably be talking more about the series as they start to finish Season 2 episodes. Whatever they wind up releasing, of course I'll do videos for it. Hopefully, if we're lucky, they'll announce more revival series like Spider-Man 98, continuing that Spider-Man animated series from the 90s. That's just the beginning though, like they're clearly trying to set up potential more revivals for some of these other series because these are all characters from their different 90s series that are just canon to the same Earth. But I think if they do revivals, they would all be set during this late 90s period. Everybody click here for my full X-Men 97 episode 10 finale video, and click here for all my season 2 videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.